Raid on St. Nazaire. So, Stuka Joe on Board Game Geek and YouTube is doing a series on this, and he's providing a lot of historical content, and he does a really great job of kind of making it like a little, almost like a short movie, providing a narrative of what's happening in the game. I'm not really good at that. I tend to focus on game mechanisms and the components themselves. And in some of the threads talking about his videos, everyone said, you know, it's beautiful, job well done. But he's using custom game components, a custom map. So like, he printed off the ships and mounted them on blocks of wood, whereas what I have here is the original game components. So I thought I would show the game from a component and mechanistic standpoint to sort of supplement what he's doing, just for people interested in that. So Avalon Hill game, obviously a little bit older. Not sure who the designer is. I think it's two designers, but they're not really represented on the box here. Let's see. I'm trying to see when 87 is when this game was published. So a little bit older. The components are still pretty serviceable. I got a used copy from somebody. It's missing a couple gun counters. So I just kind of made some up here. Not beautiful, but functional. And as you can see, I'm a couple of turns into the game. The first turn especially, there's not a lot to do. The second turn, you finally start getting stuff to do. The third turn now, we'll kind of get into it. So this is a solitaire-only game about the raid on St. Nazaire in 1942. Just kind of softening up the port here. So what happens is there are British ships, and they are bringing in commando units. We have assault teams and we have demolition teams up here. Let's get them up here. You can kind of see a slight difference. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick that up. So there's a slight discoloration here that designates the difference. You can't see it. The difference between the units. Assault units are just for fighting, and the demolition, they have an objective up here that you can change on the sheet, but this is their default objective. And so what they're trying to do is get to that hex and destroy it, or area, more than hex. So the boats come in. All the boats in the game are, all the British boats in the game are referred to as boats, even if they're ships. This is a destroyer here. They're going to come in, they're going to drop off their commandos. The commandos are going to go raise havoc, blowing things up. The boats are subject to gunfire. All the guns in the game are pretty abstracted out in the firing, and that's actually what I'm going to start off showing. The Germans do have soldiers or troops that are going to try to get over here and fight the British. The game lasts for quite a while. I haven't counted the turns, but we're down here. I'm on turn 3. Quite a few turns, which I tend not to like, but just because it drags a little bit. But there's enough here that, other than the first part of the step, or the first part of the turn, I'm okay with. So let's get into it. Let's look at how this is playing out. There are a couple of really good resources. The rules are pretty good. The rules are mostly written in the order of play, which for a solitaire game I really like. You're just kind of playing each rule section as it goes. I think this came from the General magazine. It's called Travel Guide to Saint Nazaire. This was in my copy, and it just kind of walks you through a little bit more in detail, kind of pointing out things that the person who wrote it, Bob Proctor, missed his first couple plays. So it's a handy tool. It just kind of gives it in plain speak instead of rule speak, but the rules are still pretty good. And then also on Board Game Geek, there's this, doesn't say who created it, but this chart of all the, or this sheet of all the charts. You also get this tracking sheet, which again, if I had just kind of based it off of knowing that there was a tracking sheet, I again tend not to like things like that. But in this, it works really well, and there's not too much bookkeeping. And I'm thinking actually between this and Ambush and Wooden Ships and Iron Men, I actually do like tracking sheets, but I think I don't for some strange reason. So each boat has crew. If all the crew are eliminated, the boat sinks. Has guns. These guns all tally into a modifier here, basically when they're firing salvos out to the guns and lights out here. Passengers are people you pick up to take back to England up there. The commandos are listed here. These are the commando units that the boats are carrying. And again, if they are eliminated, they're wiped out. This is the primary target for those commandos, so you can see the assault units, which again handily are written in sentence case, and the demolition units are written in all caps, which is kind of cool. And then a landing zone for the boat where it's going to land, if that commando has landed, and what their ammo is. The commandos need ammo to throw grenades and blow things up, basically. Down here we're tracking victory points. 70 is the number to get to. We're at 11 so far through 2 turns, so not bad. We got one here, and then here and here we destroyed those already. So we're well on our way. And then this turn we're going to try to destroy that southern caisson. So what else? So the first step of the game is you check for these lamps here, which are going to illuminate. I say lamp, but it's like a light tower. They're going to illuminate sea zones or land zones, and these are laid out. So zone 3 is illuminated, zone 4 is illuminated, and this illuminated D and this illuminated A, but there's not enough ships there for it to be effective. The next step is any boats that are on fire and the destroyer automatically take hits. So for that you just roll 2d6, and then on this chart you see what happens to them. Then what happens is the Germans get to take shots at the boats until either they miss or they take 12 shots. They haven't missed yet. They cannot miss on turn 1 because only a 6 misses, and there's DRMs that modify that. So on turn 1, everybody's in this approach zone. The approach zone is illuminated, so hits are impossible. So I'm hoping on turn 3 here we can actually get a miss. So what you do is you roll what the game calls a triad. The game has a couple different die rolls. There's a lowercase dr, which is 1 die. There's an uppercase dr, which is 2d6, and then there's a triad, which the red counts as a dr, and then these count as a selection die roll, which would make that 62 instead of 8. So we're going to take our second shot here. Actually, I've taken 2 shots. I'm going to take our third shot. We roll. So that is a miss. That's actually really good. And that will be on boat 52. We look here, 52, and I'll do this. This is kind of what I do to log that. So 52 would take a hit. 52 is in Zone C. Zone C is not illuminated. It's not under a beam. It's not on fire. And it's not dead in the water. So that is actually going to be a miss, as we can see there. So this round is over, and that's actually really good for us because one, it's kind of tedious having to roll through 12 of these and then log everything, and it really can kind of get you down because you're just taking a pounding. It works. The Germans have to put up their fight, but it can be a bit of a slog sometimes. So that's actually really good. So now what we get to do is move on to the British boats firing. So in a similar way, this is called covering fire. In a similar way, they're going to roll, they're going to pick a target, they're going to roll a triad. For this, there's an effect die roll, and then the 2-hit die roll. So we need 2 to 7, and then this will tell us what happens. So we pick a target, and you can only do up to 6 of these, whereas the Germans get 12. And for each additional roll, you have a +1 modifier, which builds that 6 rounds in. So let's see. What you can knock out here is lamps and guns, or searchlights and guns. We have guys here who can try to disrupt that. Let's go ahead and try to knock this thing out. This lamp. So no effect. So that doesn't even matter. But oops, wrong one. So it's disrupted. We did hit it, so we're good. So this guy is disrupted, and we mark it as such here. Okay, and we can continue. We're at a +1 here. So we'll try to knock out this gun. There's nothing that says even if we have guys here we can't do it, which maybe seems like there should be, and maybe I missed it, but we'll roll for it. So that's an 11, so that's not going to hit. So that's the end of that. Now the Germans attack using the guns on the board. The first one is just kind of an abstract number. So basically what's going to happen is they're going to fire into the zone that they're highest at. So these 3 guns are going to fire at zone Z. And we're going to do it same thing here. So there are 3 guns. The Germans need to roll under, or 3 or less, and then the yellow and white will tell us what the result is. So they rolled under 3. It's a 7. Oh, wait, no. That's going to be 61 is going to be the boat that's affected. That will just go up to the nearest one. So knock is going to be affected. Now we roll some die roll. That's going to be a 9. So that's going to be an evade. And what evade does is there's 2 kind of movement effects here. It's moving around the shots being fired at it, so it evades, so it loses a movement factor because it's out of formation. And then turn away is, things got too heavy, so it got out of what it's trying to do. So that's just an evade, which is there. We flip these as they fired. So B is going to have 2 guns firing on it. So same thing. Didn't roll under a 2, so I'm not going to mark them, but these have fired. Yeah, we'll go ahead and mark it. On to C. C doesn't have any guns in it. That gun's disrupted. There's nothing in D, so these can fire at C. So C has 1, 2 guns firing at it. I don't have this counter. I think there should be a gun here. Maybe I should look that up real quick.